It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Social media maneuvers, you guys take over the show at some point. There are 16 fan bases in the NFL right now that are going crazy after week one's results. Not happy with their team, sky's falling, all this offseason talk, all this time we've waited, and this is the product that we get. It's frustrating when your team doesn't win, especially in week one. Especially when you're at home, it makes it even worse. And it's an opponent that you think you should be able to handle. But again, we don't know who's good and who's not. The bottom line is it's only week one. There are 16 more games this season after week's one results. So for fan bases out there, I think it's pretty interesting to kind of gauge how we feel about these teams as we head into week number 2. And so we're going to take a look at that today on the Louie T Network podcast that starts now. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 202nd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Watching some of these games on replay in week number 1 got me to thinking about today's gym dropping session. And obviously, we're going to talk about various topics on the show today because you guys are going to be allowed to take over the show. So if you're out there and you want your comment to be read and it's pertinent, start lining up your comments using the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. We'll get to as many of them as possible. But again, if you want to jump to the front of the line, super chats are the way to go about doing that. So I was thinking about something. As a matter of fact, let's not delay. Let's get straight to the business of talking about what I want to talk about today. So let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T-double-E. Let me open you up, get you thinking a little bit. So I was thinking about week 1, and I talked about I was watching some of the games over and over again. And for those of you out there waiting for me to break down the film, I'm so frustrated right now. So apparently the NFL has a new interface on their NFL Game Pass, which I've seen that already, which I'm like, if it's not broken, why are you trying to fix something that isn't broken? And if you're going to fix it, how about you do that in the offseason when nobody gives a shit about the games and watching them over again? You're trying to fix your website and you're trying to fix the interface in the smack dab middle of the season. And now we're sitting here waiting for a product that we've paid money for and we're not getting the entire product. Like it's one thing when they used to charge me $70 to watch the games over and they would condense it into, 45 minutes or less, and that was $70. Okay, cool. I pay that. But when you stretched it out to 100, you stretched it out to 100 because we were getting something we couldn't get anywhere else. And that was access to the all 22s. And now I'm waiting for access and I'm spoiled now. You spoiled me. I've done this for the last 5-6 years. And I know on Tuesday, I'm going to have my film cut-ups of the all 22s on both offensive and defensive of all the plays, offensive and defensive snaps. And I'm going to be able to sit down and analyze what the hell is going on. And then I can go ahead and talk to everyone about what I've seen. Well, I was looking all day yesterday. It wasn't there. I've been looking all day today. I was like, what the hell is going on, man? Am I tripping? I keep refreshing the page. I keep waiting for it. Again, it's this new interface. So I'm like, maybe I don't know. I'm not in the right place. So I start searching on Google, and sure enough, this has been a problem all offseason. They got this new interface. They're trying to change. They want it to look sleek and all of this. I don't give a shit about the way it looks. I care about how it performs. It was performing fine the way it was. Why did you need to tinker with it? I don't understand sometimes why companies do certain things. If it's not broken, why are you trying to fix it? Now, all of a sudden, they've got trouble and issues with the all 22s integrating itself into the new interface. And now I don't have access to the all 22s right now. And you can look at the game copy and see certain things, but you can't see everything on the game copy. That's why all 22s exist. If you didn't need them, you wouldn't use them. You just watch the game copy. You can't see a lot of things on the game copy. So, needless to say, I'm frustrated. But that's besides the point. I was watching some of these games over again. And in watching some of these games, I thought about past years when teams would come out and struggle early and their fan bases would lose their shit and they'd be talking about how their team is horrible, they're this, they're that, and they start talking about the draft. Those are the extreme fans, the ones that after 3 weeks of football, they want to start talking about the draft. You know, and those exist in every fan base, not just the one you're a part of. All right. So don't feel bad if you got fans that are talking crazy. You're like, man, this fan base is irrational or it's crazy. Every fan base has fans like that. That said, week 1 losses can be traumatic, especially when your team has expectations. Look, Jacksonville loses. You're like, hey, we expected to lose, and we expect to lose a lot more. Teams without expectations, well, the Falcons stink. I don't think their fan base was expecting them to do much of anything this year anyway. So them getting drubbed in week 1, whatever. We stink. We expect to stink. It's supposed to be a rebuild in Atlanta, brand new GM, new head coach. That's why I was in favor of drafting a quarterback. Kyle Pitts is cool, but if you're going to trade Julio Jones, what was the purpose of drafting Kyle Pitts? I don't understand. Not when you got a chance to get a quarterback. Now, again, I said this a million times during the draft season. If you don't love one of the quarterbacks that are available, then don't force the pick. If you don't love Justin Fields, if you don't love Mac Jones, and I was looking at the Falcons, and I'm saying if you love Matt Ryan, then you should love Mac Jones. Why not just take Mac Jones? He's a younger version of Matt Ryan. But they didn't see it that way. They didn't see it that way. And that's fine. Again, you don't want to take a quarterback just for the sake of taking a quarterback. And maybe I was wrong. I said Atlanta will never draft this high again. Maybe they'll be drafting that high this year again. Maybe they'll have the shot at getting that quarterback again. Anyhow, for those fan bases, Detroit, throw them in the mix. You expected to lose. But for those fan bases that had expectations, you should still have those expectations. 1 week should not derail your entire season, and it should not change the way you view your season. Okay? Whether you were looking for one side of the football to play better than they did, or you were looking for a better team effort, or you were looking for better coaching or execution, whatever the case may be, maybe you've had an injury or two that has, altered the way you view the season, you should still be looking at your team as long as your quarterback. And when I talk about quarterbacks getting injured, I'm talking about you had a bona fide all-pro type quarterback, one of the best in the league. As long as that guy is still upright, then you shouldn't be talking about your season being in the dumps after 1 week. Even if your team didn't look sharp or they didn't play well, everything that you want is still potentially in front of you. You just got to hit the reset button. That game's over. You move on to the next week's game and see if you can't. Because it's a week-to-week league. We know that about the NFL. And a lot of these fans are week-to-week fans. You talk to them after a loss, their team is the worst ever. The coaching staff needs to be fired, this, that, and the third. You talk to them after a win, and they're all elated, and they're talking about this, and this guy's the best, and this guy's awesome. At the end of the day, a wise man once told me, nothing's as good as it seems, nothing's as bad as it seems. Somewhere in between, reality falls. And literally, that the NFL and their fans are the definition of that statement to a T. But a lot of fans don't conduct themselves somewhere in the middle, where reality lies, essentially, and where it falls. 16 teams lost in week number 1. I said all of that to say this. 16 teams lost in week 1. Of the 16, give me 4 to 8 teams that you're buying stock in. Maybe you can't even conjure up 4 teams to buy stock in. I'm going to give you 8 teams. Half of the teams that lost, because generally speaking, half the league is going to lose in week 1, unless you tie, but we rarely get ties in week 1. We get ties now more prevalent than before because of the stupid 10-minute quarter and overtime, but they generally don't happen in week 1. That happens in week 4, week 7, or week 9. So 16 teams lost in week 1. 16 teams won in week 1. Of the 16 teams that lost, I'm pretty sure 4 or 5 of them are going to go on to have strong seasons, make the postseason, or threaten to make the postseason. maybe even more. Your job today is to identify 4 to 8 of those teams that you're buying stock, because the stock is low today. After they lost on Sunday or Monday or Thursday, their stock plummeted. Unless you're Dallas, your stock rose to epic proportions and you're going to the Super Bowl now. Outside of Dallas, however, everyone else's stock has dropped that lost in week number 1. With that being said, now that the stock is low, are you going to buy that stock or are you going to pass on it? You're good. I'm going to give you the 16 teams, and I want you guys to tell me if you're buying stock in any of these teams or not. 16 teams lost. Here they are. Dallas, Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, Atlanta Falcons, Washington Football Team, Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings, New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, Tennessee Titans, New England Patriots, New York Giants, Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, Baltimore Ravens. So I'll repeat those 16 teams once more. Dallas Cowboys, Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, Atlanta Falcons, Washington Football Team, Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings, New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, Tennessee Titans, New England Patriots, New York Giants, Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, and the Baltimore Ravens. Are you buying stock in any of these teams right now? I'm going to give you 8 teams that I'm still buying stock in. So I'm going to cut this list in half and give you 8 teams that I'm still buying stock in despite the loss in week number 1. So let's go through that right now. So the first team I'm buying stock in, and I'm just going in order. This isn't in the order of how I feel about them. This is just the order in which I listed them. The Dallas Cowboys. They play in a very, very weak division. That's number 1. So you have to take all of these things into consideration when you talk about these teams, because Dallas won't be playing Tampa Bay every single week, and they won't be playing teams the caliber of the Buccaneers every week. They got a tough game this week against the Chargers. Won't be easy, but it's a winnable game. Very winnable. And I would not be shocked if they went out to LA and beat the Chargers this week. They're a good offense. As long as Dak Prescott is upright, we still don't know about their defense. That's still a massive question mark. I contend that they will be better defensively. I think we saw a glimpse of that on Thursday night. You can't be 100% sure of that. However, you can look at the Cowboys defensively and say they can't be any worse than they were last year. And I think that's a pretty accurate statement, especially with the moves that they made in the offseason, most notably moving on from Nolan, Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator last year, and getting their hands on Dan Quinn, who I think is going to come in there and simplify things and let them play a lot faster. With that said, they've got some issues on offense already. Lyle Collins already been suspended for 5 games. They've got an injury to one of their receivers, Michael Gallup, but they've got receivers for days. They should be fine. If they're healthy, they're going to be in the mix in the NFC East. Indianapolis Colts. I'm buying stock in the Indianapolis Colts because, much like I just said with Dallas, they play in a horrid division, arguably the worst division in football. I still don't think the Houston Texans are going to be very good. They played arguably the worst team in football in the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to be in the mix when it's all said and done with Detroit and in Atlanta and some of those other teams that aren't very good. They're going to be right in that mix, I think, when it's all said and done. are the Jacksonville Jaguars. And maybe Houston's in that discussion. I think they may be a little bit better than I gave them credit for. But again, that all really rests on the shoulders of Tyrod Taylor and him being able to stay healthy, which I just can't see him doing. But if he's healthy, they're going to have a shot. That said, the Texans, I don't think are going to be ultimately very good. The Jaguars aren't very good. And we don't know what the Titans are. We think we know. We thought we knew. Then we saw that dud of a game on Sunday, and now you're maybe rethinking what the Titans are. Bottom line is the Titans are the only team in that division that I think is really any good. And so it's hard for me to envision Indianapolis not getting it together. If Carson Wentz, who I thought was extremely solid in week 1, if he continues to grow within that offense and that defense starts to put some things together, I think they're going to be just fine in Indianapolis. I'm buying stock in the Indianapolis Colts. Jacksonville Jaguars, I've already said that I don't think they're going to be very good. That's a tear it up, rebuild it back up. So they tore it down. Now they have to build it back up. Urban Meyer is already shooing away rumors of him, jettisoning the Jacksonville Jaguars for the Trojans of USC on some Nick Saban nonsense. He's not going anywhere. Someone asked me yesterday why I didn't talk about the Urban Meyer rumors, because I'm like, I don't put any stock into him. That's why. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think he's leaving Jacksonville. Like the whole reason he came back, he came out of retirement essentially, was to coach in the NFL, not to coach college football. If he wanted a college job, he could have gotten it 15 times over. You think teams that had openings didn't approach Urban Meyer about coming on board to run their program? What are you talking about? Urban Meyer's one of the best college coaches of the last, 2 decades. Like, you think him sitting in the booth with Fox doing their pregame show, teams didn't approach him when they had openings? You don't think Texas called him? They've had openings at Texas 87 times. Think they didn't approach Urban Meyer and him turn them down? He didn't want to coach college football. If he wanted to, he could have had a job 16 times over, and with big programs, because there have been openings at, what we perceive to be big programs. He didn't want to go back to college football. If he wanted to, he would have already been there. So to me, he wants the challenge. And we see this with college coaches all the time. They want the challenge of coaching at the highest level. They want to prove to themselves that they can do it. That's what he's doing here. And he's getting the keys to the entire Jaguars car. He's not going to abandon that car after 1 week of football. So they're not good right now. And they're not going to be good this season. Same can be said for the Atlanta Falcons. It's a brand new operation there. Brand new GM, brand new head coach, different philosophy, different roster. Don't think there's enough talent there. Don't like what they are offensively. I don't think they're as bad defensively as I think they're going to be, but I think their will be broken at some point, and the defense is going to fall the hell apart as well. Right now, everyone's hopeful. Everyone thinks they have a shot. So you're getting the best of what they have. And I think defensively, they're running with the assumption that, hey, we can do this. We got a shot. Why not us? By week 4 or so, they'll realize we stink. And I think the defense will start to fall the hell apart as well. But right now, the offense is really the problem. The defense gave them ample opportunities against Philadelphia. The offense was just putrid, along with the penalties. There's things they have to clean up. They've got some talent. It's not a ton. I'm not buying Atlanta Falcons stock. Washington football team, much like I talked about with Dallas, they play in a division that is up for grabs. I look at this Washington football team. It's a brutal schedule. We've talked about it ad nauseum. That's not something that you can dismiss. Someone sent me a post on socials that showed Washington having the toughest remaining schedule of any team in the league, which I'm saying, I don't really need someone showing me that I have the toughest remaining schedule after week 1. That pretty much meant that I probably had the toughest schedule in football to begin with, more likely than not. And obviously the Chargers weren't great last year, so maybe that brought the level of toughness of the schedule down enough to where we weren't the toughest. But now that they're off the schedule, now we have the toughest schedule. Whatever. I don't care about the remaining schedule. We got 16 games left. Why are you showing me remaining games left, toughest schedule? Anyway, I said all of that to say this. Yeah, we know the schedule's tough, but we don't know what's going to take place. All you can do is take it one at a time. And as I told that person on socials, with great power comes great responsibility. You want to win the division? This is what comes with winning the division. You get division winners. This is what we asked for. This is what we have to respond to. And so I think they will respond. I think they answer the bell on Thursday night. And I think they start playing the kind of football that is expected of this football team this year. And I think the catalyst is going to be a guy that a lot of people are sleeping on or think that should have been starting in the first place, Taylor Heineke. We'll see. But I'm definitely buying stock in the Washington football team. Call me biased all you like. But again, the division is one that allows me to feel confident that they'll, at worst, be in the discussion come the end of the season to compete for the NFC East. Buffalo Bills. Definitely buying stock in the Bills. I mean, I don't think too many people out there aren't buying stock in the Bills after their loss. It was a tough loss, especially when you jump out 10-0, you're dominating the football game. I gave you the numbers. I gave you the stats yesterday. They totally dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers in every statistical category except the ones that really mattered. And that was the turnover category. That was the fourth down category. That was the red zone category. And of course, the scoreboard category, which matters more than any other category, which is how many points do you have at the end of the game and how many points do your opponents have at the end of the game. And you got a punt blocked, you fumbled the ball, you did everything that teams that are dying to lose a game do. And at the end of the day, the Steelers are a good football team. We knew that coming in. I didn't think they were going to go to Buffalo and win, but they did. The Bills are a good football team. They'll bounce back. And they'll be fine this year. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in football. They've got a talented roster. They're well coached. I just see the Buffalo Bills being in the mix when it's all said and done. Detroit Lions, spirited comeback. That was cute what they did on Sunday after being down 41-17 with essentially 2 minutes left in the ball game and making it a one-score game with them having the football with a chance to tie it, which is asinine. The 49ers almost fell apart in what would have been the greatest collapse in NFL history, playoffs or regular season. I've never seen anything like that. They literally were hanging on for dear life after leading in that game by 24 points with 2 minutes left. Think about that. Less than 2 minutes to go in the game. You're up 24. They've taken all of their starters out. Meaning Nick Bosa had been on the bench for probably 5 minutes in the game, and he's got to come off the bench with less than a minute to go because they're hanging on by a thread. It's amazing. Anyway, the Lions stink, man. They were down 41-17. They were down 38-10 for a reason. They stink. They're going to stink, and I definitely don't want any of that stock. Minnesota Vikings. I told you guys before the season started, I did not think the Vikings were going to be very good this season. I am not backing off of that statement. I don't think they're a very good team. Now, I told you they are front-loaded with talent, and I was encouraged by some of the things I saw from them, defensively, like Michael Pierce, who sat out last year due to COVID. He was outstanding. He had 2 sacks in the game up front as a defensive tackle. They could get some more pressure from someone other than Danielle Hunter. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Danielle Hunter, who had a sack in the game as well. Defensively, they're not half bad. They went out. We know, Mike Zimmer isn't a big fan of young corners. So, generally he has the guy that's 47 years old, like Terrence Newman, as his cornerback. He likes those old seasoned veterans that he can trust. So he goes out and gets a couple of old seasoned veterans that he can trust in Bashaud Breeland and Patrick Peterson. They may not be as bad on defense as I thought. Offensively, they could be better than I thought as well. Like KJ Osgood stepped up yesterday. They've got some stuff. Maybe they're not as bad. We'll see. I'm still not buying Minnesota Vikings stock, though. I'm not a big proponent of the Vikings. I'm going to pass on buying their stock at this point. Maybe that'll change later on in the season. New York Jets, similar to the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're going at it with a young quarterback, a first-round pick. You're going at it with a brand new head coach. You're going at it with a roster that's been turned over and different philosophy. It takes time for all of that stuff to resonate with the players and for you to get to a point where you can start to win ball games on a consistent basis. So much like the um, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the New York Jets are going to struggle. And so, no, I'm not going to buy any stock in them. Tennessee Titans. I, I was so wrong about them in week one. I was sure that they were going to win that football game. So much so that I talked about the Arizona Cardinals in a way that forced me to have to offer up a double O, which I hate to do. So I'm not really friends with the Tennessee Titans at this current juncture, but that doesn't stop me from understanding what they are as a football team. I'm buying stock in the Tennessee Titans. They'll be better. That was an ugly showing. It was embarrassing. But what it also did was it served as a wake-up call for a team that has gone to the postseason 2 years in a row, and a team that was in the AFC Championship game just 2 seasons ago. Like, this is a good football team. They added Julio, which makes us think they're going to be better on offense. They didn't get him the football in week one. That's subject to change, okay? They'll be fine. Derrick Henry will get going. The offensive line, that's a bit of a concern. Maybe it was just Chandler Jones in that group up front that they were going against, but they looked putrid in that game. Whatever the case may be, if they can run the football, do the things that we're accustomed to seeing them do, I think they will be fine in Tennessee. I'm going to go ahead. And much like I said with Indianapolis, it's not a great division that they're in. So because I don't believe in their division, and they should be able to feast off of Jacksonville and Houston and teams like that, and maybe split with Indy, if not sweeping them. Tennessee, to me, is a team you have to buy stock in just because of the division that they play in. Cleveland Browns. I didn't know if I should be all in on the Browns or not. Like, was last year a one-off? I told you I loved what Kevin Stefanski came in and did for the Browns last season. I thought he was phenomenal. He deserved to win head coach of the year. What he did with that Browns organization, there were so many first since last year that the Browns knocked down, first playoff game, first playoff win, first this, first that, since fill in the blank. He was trying to knock another first since off the board last week, or week one, I should say, on Sunday. They haven't, and I've said this already, they hadn't won a season opener since 2004, which is unbelievable to me. But that said, they were dangerously close against what I perceive to be the best team in the AFC in the Kansas City Chiefs. And maybe that says something about the Chiefs, that they're not as good as they've been in the past. Maybe, maybe not. But I just think the Browns are actually really that good. So I'm buying stock in the Cleveland Browns. I think they are well coached. I said that in the preseason. Having not seen any of the starters playing, I said, one thing you can tell, this team is well coached. You saw it again. They made some mistakes in that game that ultimately cost them, which you can't do against good teams, especially on the road. That said, they were at one point in that game dominating what we perceive to be, what I perceive, I can't speak for you, what I perceive to be the best team in the AFC. And so I think the Browns are going to be a really good team this year if they can stay relatively healthy. They've already seen some injuries, including one of their offensive linemen went down. If I'm not mistaken, it was the Alabama kid that's in all the commercials with Baker Mayfield. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now, but he left that game relatively early. I don't think it's season ending, but I think he's going to be out for a considerable amount of time. New England Patriots. I want to buy stock in the Patriots. I really do. I look at that division and I'm like, but I see Buffalo. I see Miami. And I just say those two teams are going to be good. They already couldn't beat Miami at home. They had ample opportunities. They couldn't get it done. Now they got to go to Miami. That's never good for New England. Even when they had Tom Brady, that was never a good thing. They're going to struggle with Buffalo because I don't think the Patriots can score a bunch of points. Like, the game that they played against Miami is the kind of game they're going to have to win. And it's going to have to be 20-16. And in order to win those types of games, you have to play mistake-free football. And I don't think the Patriots are going to play mistake-free football every single week. So as much as I want to buy stock in the Patriots, I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass on Patriots stock. I don't think they're going to end up being a postseason team. They're going to be in a bunch of ball games. They're going to be uber competitive. They're going to be better than they were last year. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I'm going to pass on the Patriots. Giants. I don't believe in Daniel Jones, and I'm starting not to believe in Joe Judge. And that is my basis for passing on the Giants. Much like Dallas and Washington, why the hell shouldn't they have a chance? They play in one of the worst divisions in all of football. They should be right there in the discussion. And if you want to make the case for the Giants, go right ahead. I'm listening. But my problem is I don't trust their quarterback. I need to see Saquon Barkley healthy because he could help offset some of the issues offensively that they're currently having. But I don't believe in their staff. I don't believe in Jason Garrett as an offensive coordinator. I don't believe in their head coach, Joe Judge. I don't think he's a great motivator of men. I think he wants to be Bill Belichick, but he doesn't have the hardware to be able to get guys to continue to follow along with him being a hard ass. You want to make guys run laps. You want to make coaches run laps, but you don't have the ability to do that when you haven't done anything in this league to warrant that kind of respect. And again, the only way you get away with doing things like that is if you win. And they weren't good in week 1. And if they don't bounce back in week 2 and you fall down 0-2 this season, you're going to start having players questioning, what the hell are we doing here? Anyway, it had all these players retiring. That wasn't coincidence. Giants fans tried to whisk it away. Oh, no, other teams have players retiring too. Not like that. Not like that. There was a reason guys got there and realized, I don't need this shit. I didn't sign up for this shit. I'm out of here. It looks like Matt Patricia all over. It's starting to feel, starting to smell, and it's starting to look like Matt Patricia all over again, this time in New York with the Giants. I'm not saying, I'm just saying we'll see. I'm not buying New York Giants stock is what I'm trying to tell you. And they got enough talent that I should be buying their stock, but I'm not going to buy their stock. Thank you. Loser, the Redskins fan, Jedrick Wills Jr. was the guy that went down for the Cleveland Browns in that game against Kansas City. Green Bay Packers. Of course, I'm buying stock in Aaron Rodgers and company. It was a bad game. It was worse than bad. It was one of the worst beatdowns of week 1, and it was probably one of the most surprising outcomes of week 1. And I want to attribute that to them just not taking the offseason seriously with, Rodgers not being at OTAs, Rodgers not playing in the preseason despite not being there for OTAs. They thought they could just flip a switch. And instead they got flipped a ass whooping. And so, yeah, I mean, it was bad, but I look at their division. I don't respect the Bears or the Lions. I told you I don't think the Vikings are going to be very good. Who's stopping the Packers from going 5-1 in the division this year and running away with that thing and winning it, clinching the division by week 14? I don't know if there's anybody in there stopping them from doing that. So just off the strength of that, I'm going to go ahead and buy stock in the Green Bay Packers. Hell, their entire division lost. I mean, this is the time to take advantage. The Packers don't lose very often. You got a chance to take advantage, and every single team in the division loses in week number 1. I mean, only team that probably should have won was Minnesota, but everybody else is playing teams that you didn't expect them to beat anyway. But that's no here nor there. I'm going to go ahead and buy that stock, a bunch of it, in the Green Bay Packers. Chicago Bears. This is a lost cause for them because it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Damned if you do. If you start Justin Fields, he doesn't play well, then people criticize you for saying you're destroying the young kid. If he gets out there, the offensive line is terrible, he's taking sacks, the play calling's horrid, and he looks terrible, then, oh my God, why did you play him? Yada, yada, yada. Get these coaches out of here. Get rid of Ryan Pace, the GM, start anew. But then does the new guys coming in really want Justin Fields? Of course, they're going to tell the coaching staff, yeah, we love him. We want to coach him. But that's what anybody does that wants a job. You always say, yeah, to everything. And then once they get the job, you're not going to fire me. You guaranteed me money for the next 4 years. You're not going to fire me. So I don't want this kid. I want my own guy. That's what anybody does. If you're a salesman, if you want a job, if they tell you, hey, this is what comes with the job, you got to fix this guy. You got to make the most out of him. We just spent the first round pick to get him. We just traded up to get him. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna coach this guy up. I believe in him. Then you get in there and you realize, not really feeling this dude. I want my own quarterback. You don't want to put a young quarterback in that position. So damned if you don't. You're like, hey, look, Andy Dalton stinks. We're not going anywhere with Andy Dalton. What the hell are we doing? We're running on the hamster wheel. Put Justin Fields in. So it's a no-win situation for the Bears, really. I don't think they're good enough to win a bunch of ball games anyway. So I'm going to not buy stock in the Bears. That's not surprising, but the defense, unfortunately, I think is actually good enough to give them a shot, but I just don't know if they have it offensively. And then finally, the Baltimore Ravens. That's a tough loss on Monday night. That's a brutal loss on Monday night. And looking at their schedule, looking at who they are and some of the injuries that they have already on the season, that's one of those games I don't know if you can afford to lose in week one. That's one of those games we may look back on the schedule. The Ravens miss out on the postseason at 10-7 by a game, and 11-6 would have qualified them for postseason contention. Week one is one of those games we'll look back on and say, that was the one you should have got. In any event, it's still the Ravens. I still think they're one of the deepest teams in football. They're one of the best coached teams in football. They'll figure it out some way, somehow. But they play in a brutal division. The Steelers are going to be good. The Browns are going to be good. And the Bengals are no pushover this year. I think they are much improved. Every year you used to pretty much be able to say, we're going to sweep Cincinnati. We're going to sweep, Cleveland, maybe split with them. The Browns have been better of late, but, you used to be able to say, we're going to sweep Cleveland, both Ohio teams, we're going to sweep them. Can we just split with Pittsburgh? And that's 5-1 in the division. You can't do that anymore. You may not even be able to sweep Cincinnati anymore. Who knows? I said all of that to say this. This would be no cakewalk for the Baltimore Ravens, but if there's any team that can overcome adversity, it's the Baltimore Ravens. And because of that, I'm going to buy stock in the Baltimore Ravens. So to recap, the 8 teams that I'm buying stock in are the Dallas Cowboys, the Indianapolis Colts, Washington Football Team, Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, Green Bay Packers, and Baltimore Ravens. And just as an aside, all the teams with the exception of Dallas that I'm buying stock in were playoff teams last year. So there you go. I mean, maybe that's part of the reason why I'm buying stock in these teams, because of what they did last year and not necessarily basing it on what they're going to do this year. Maybe I'm guilty of that, but I just think these teams are better than what they showed in week one. And ultimately, think they're going to bounce back and be in the discussion. Even if they don't make the postseason, they'll be in the discussion come season's end. All right. So that's going to do it for the gem dropping session today. We will take a quick break, get a word from one of our sponsors, and then come back on the other side and jump into social media maneuvers. You are locked in to the 202nd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I'll see you guys on the other side. I want to take this time to thank Manscaped for sponsoring the Louie T Network podcast. Fantasy football draft season is upon us. It's time you put the PP back in PPR League with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming just launched the new Performance Package 4.0. Don't neglect your balls like the Packers front office has been neglecting Aaron Rodgers. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com, getting 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT. This will help you tame that Troy Polamalu in your pants. If you're grooming below the waist, the Performance Package 4.0 is an essential purchase. And good news for all of our international listeners out there, their life-changing products are now available in Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and even Singapore. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, crop preserver, ball deodorant, crop reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag as well. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your balls, body, and even your A-gap. Don't want to fall prey to that double A-gap blitz. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on and off switch which can engage travel lock, and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight, which allows you to be as accurate as that clip of Tom Brady playing catch with the jugs machine. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having Derrick Henry run through those tough nose and ear hairs. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This ear and nose hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those sensitive holes. Pause. Don't forget to use the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and their Crop Reviver to help your little bench warmers be on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag as well. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT at Manscaped.com. If your significant other is nagging you about how much time you put in your fantasy team, you might as well gift them some beautiful balls with Manscaped. And trust me when I tell you this, your balls and your significant other will thank you. Welcome back to the show. 202nd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. If you're out there and you're watching, please take this time to subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing and hit the like button. Over 120 of you out there, only 48 likes at this current moment. That is way too low. Let's hit that like button if you enjoy this content. If you're out there listening on a platform, please rate and review this podcast as it helps it rank on the different podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts. So I wanted to add one more thing to Green Bay, too. I was just thinking about this as I was going through my notes from the game. It's amazing to me how some of these, coaches, we talk about this all the time, that it's a fraternity. And it's a good old boys club, and guys are just hiring their friends a lot of times, dudes that they get down with. You worked with this guy in one of your previous stops. You ended up being good friends with him. A position comes open with you. You hire your buddy. That's the NFL in essence. Not that these guys are incompetent or can't do their job. They're just other guys that are better at that job, but instead you give it to your buddy because he's your buddy. I think the Packers just got victimized that way. And I think they're going to feel the brunt of this. Teams always want to overreact. And they fired Mike Pettin last year, got rid of him, and they moved on from him as their defensive coordinator. Was Mike Pettin the best? Did he always get results in Green Bay? No, but I thought he actually did a solid job. Now, Packers fans may disagree there, but I'm going to tell you this from experience, firsthand experience. You downgraded at defensive coordinator with Joe Barry. And when I saw Joe Barry on your sidelines calling plays, I said, oh, no wonder they're getting gashed by the Saints. They're going to be awful on defense this year. Joe Barry is a joke of a defensive coordinator. Your defense is going to struggle this year in Green Bay. You better be prepared to outscore teams 34-30 every single week, because Joe Barry is a clown show as a defensive coordinator. It won't take you long to figure that out either. I was amazed. I was mortified. And then that turned into laughter after realizing what they had done. They swapped out Mike Pettin for Joe Barry. What? And you think you're going to win a Super Bowl with him? Good luck, Packers fans. You're going to need it. Anyway, I digress. Go ahead, start lining those comments up. We're going to get to the comment section now. If you're out there, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If you want to jump to the front of the line, super chats are the way to do that. You guys know the routine. Let's jump into it today. I do have a super chat, so I'm going to take that first. It is from my guy, John McDowell. Thank you for the super chat, John. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I'm not buying into Washington football team until we can average 26 points per game. So far, we're at 16. Last year, we closed at 21. That's a fair point. I get it. The offense has to score more. I think you're going to see that with Taylor Heineke in the lineup, and it would also help if the defense could get us more possessions. So there were 9 possessions apiece in the game on Sunday. It didn't feel that way, but it was. But 9 isn't a great number. You know, you get stops, there are more possessions in a ball game. And you have to do something with your possessions. You get a turn too. So you got to do something with the football when you get it. I think we're more likely to do something with the football now that Taylor Heineke has entered the lineup. And so I expect that number to climb and to go up. So I hear what you're saying. No, I get it. And that was one of the things we talked about this offseason is that we have to average more than 21 points a game. We got to average up over 24. You want to be closer to 30, honestly. But with the defense that we think we have a chance to have, if you could get that number up to somewhere in that 26, 27 range, which is what I had it at. I think I had it at like 26.9 or something, some crazy number that I came up with. Then you have a shot. Bottom line is we're not going to average 30 points a game. That's not who we are. But can we get to 25, 26, 27? I hope so, because you can win games scoring 27 points in this league. You can win games scoring 26 in this league. It's hard to win games scoring 21. Most teams in the league are going to score 24 points a game. That's the baseline number. So if you can score over that, you give yourself a chance to win. So I totally understand where you're coming from. You're not going to beat many teams scoring 16. I can assure you of that. And you're not going to beat a lot of teams, probably more than half of the league, scoring 21, which is what we finished the season at last year. So going to have to score more points. Small sample size this year, obviously, only one game. So I'll give them more time to figure some things out. Thank you for the super chat, John McDowell. Let's see. Got a comment here from Captain Spartan 04 who writes, Kendrick Green did decent the first week. He put Vernon Butler, former first rounder, on the ground a couple of times and got chippy, but he was also on the ground. Great in space, though. Well, that's part of the reason they signed him or drafted him, is that he was a really good athlete, a guy that was a guard that could also play center, and they ultimately moved him to center. They like his athleticism. That was his MO at Illinois. So not surprised that he's great in space. What I was more worried about was, could he hold up at the point of attack? When guys decide they want to try to bulldoze through him, could he just stand his ground? If he's taking care of business in that regard, I think he'll be okay. He's not what you wanted. You wanted Creed Humphrey. You've said it a million times, but he may look. The Steelers know what they're doing, and that's why I didn't love the pick, but I'm like, they obviously see something in this kid that they like. That's why they did it. So I said, well, let's see how it goes. And you're seeing a little bit of that now, I guess. Captain Spartan also says Bobby Petrino was given the keys to the Falcons and had multiple opportunities to leave Louisville for someone better, but he didn't. Next thing you know, he quits for Arkansas. So, Bobby Petrino isn't Urban Meyer. Okay. They're not in the same category. They're not in the same class. Bobby Petrino's probably a couple of rungs down from an Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is college football royalty. He's up there with Nick Saban. Okay. He can do Nick Saban, Urban Meyer can do whatever the hell they want to do. They're that good. Bobby Petrino was one of those guys that thought, I could take what I do at college and apply it to the NFL and it should work. But it didn't. And quickly, those college guys realized, I'm not cut out for this. I'm dealing with grown men who tune me out after a while if they don't feel like the message that I'm giving is good enough to get them wins. They'll start tuning me out. And this isn't like a young, impressionable, 18, 19-year-old that comes to school wide-eyed that does whatever I tell them to do. These are grown-ass men with kids and families at home. They can give two shits about what I'm talking about if they don't think I'm a great leader of men. So, Petrino was one of those guys that realized very quickly, I suck at this job at this level. I'm a college guy. Let me tuck my tail between my legs and go back to college. And we see it all the time with college coaches, because you want to, college is so fickle because it's so contradictory. It's a very patronizing sport from this standpoint. People get upset at recruits for changing their minds or transferring, entering the transfer portal, all of those things. You made a commitment, you should stay. Well, what about the coach that recruited them, that got them to sign on for a 4-year scholarship, that bolts after a year? He sat in your living room, told your mom, told your dad that I'm going to take care of your son, and now he's gone. I can't, look, it's capitalism. It's the American dream. If you can get better, if you can do better, then you move on and you do better. But that said, it happens in reverse sometimes, where guys realize, I'm in over my head. Let me go back to what I'm comfortable and familiar with, which is the college game. So that's why a lot of people have Urban Meyer going back to USC. But I'm like, you didn't even give him a chance to fail in the NFL before you tried to kick him out of there. And again, if Urban Meyer wanted a college job, he would have had, if he wanted the USC job, he would have had it already. They fired probably 2 coaches since he left Ohio State about 3 years ago. If he wanted a job at a major Power 5 program, he'd already be there. There aren't many jobs that Urban Meyer, the man's coached at Florida and Ohio State. Obviously, he's had, more schools like Utah and some previous schools before that. But the man's coached at Florida and Ohio State. Doesn't get much bigger than those 2 programs in college football. You think he's going to just take any Joe Schmo job? So Texas, I don't think it's that kind of program. But, Texas, their fan base is rabid. They think they're the best in the country. But they haven't won since the Vince Young days. Nobody takes Texas serious. But at the end of the day, he's not going anywhere. And Bobby Petrino was a joke. And he's not the same level of coach or caliber of coach as an Urban Meyer. Captain also writes, Pat Fryermuth literally blocked Trey White from hash to the Bills benches, even got more reps than Eric Ebron. Only 2, but still. But that's what they drafted Pat Fryermuth to do, to be the tight end of the future. So I'm not shocked that he got more reps, even if it was only 2 more. He's going to play a lot. As long as he's healthy, he's going to play and play a lot. He's the future of the tight end position in Pittsburgh. Captain Spartan says DeMarcus Lawrence just broke his foot, out indefinitely. Ouch. Is that true? Did that really happen? I haven't checked my phone. Yikes. That's a big loss. Yes. Oh my God. That is massive. On a defense that can ill afford to lose their best player, that is brutal for the Cowboys. Yikes. So that's breaking news, man. Courtesy of my guy, Captain Spartan 04. The Cowboys lose defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence for the foreseeable future. Now, I'm actually pissed. We don't get to take advantage of it. By the time we see him, he'll be way back from that broken foot. Unless he does something to re-injure it. He'll be back at the end of the season by the time we see him. He'll probably be out for the next, 2 months or so. But yikes, that's brutal. That's going to hurt them, because arguably the biggest play they had defensively in the game was made by DeMarcus Lawrence punching that football out. Yikes. That's a big loss. Big loss for them. Captain Spartan also says, wait, hold on. I got a super chat. I'll take this one first, and then I'll get to that super chat. If you truly think the Vikings and Lions will stink, then you're not high on Matt Nagy. What's stopping you from saying the NFC North is the worst division? At least the AFC South has 2 teams, because the NFC North has Green Bay. That's why. And even though the AFC South has 2 teams, potentially, we're not sure about either of those teams. We think both of those teams are going to be pretty solid. Neither one of them are Super Bowl contending teams, if you ask me. whereas the Green Bay Packers are. Even if I don't think they're going to win it, they're a Super Bowl contending team because they have Aaron Rodgers. Neither one of those two teams in the Colts or the Titans have an Aaron Rodgers caliber player on their team calling the shots. So that's why, even if a division stinks, if there's one team that's carrying the carcass of that division and they're carrying it at a high clip, I'd still put that division over, a division where two teams stink and then you got two teams battling it out. But I don't think that either one of those teams are going to win anything of note or substance. So I think the Vikings aren't going to be good. I didn't say they were going to stink. There's a difference between not being good and stinking. So for the Vikings, they're supposed to win 10, 11 games if you want to satisfy that fan base and make it to the postseason. Like, they're not going to be happy with 9-8 or 8-9. I think that's what the Vikings ultimately are going to be this year. They're not going to be, 6-11. That qualifies as stinking. Like, you got double-digit losses, you stink. 7-10, you might have had some bad luck in some games, ball bounced the wrong way, had a couple of injuries. But 6-11 or worse, yeah, you stink. And I don't think the Vikings are going to be that at all. I just don't think they're going to be very good. I don't think they're going to be, a 10-win, 11-win team. I don't even think they're going to win 9 games. I think the ceiling on their season is 8 wins this year. But I could be wrong. But they're not going to be trifling. They're not going to be nasty like I think, the Texans ultimately could be and Jacksonville will be. So I'd stick with the NFC North over the AFC South. Got a super chat. This one is from Captain Spartan 04. Missed like 3 Louie T lives by other people. Is that so? I'm looking at it on my computer and it doesn't highlight it on this particular app. So that can happen. I usually try to look at my other screen because it does highlight it. I see one here. Yeah, you're right. I did. So I'll go back. Mike Lowry writes, after watching the film, you guys should thank Captain Spartan for super chatting to tell me that, because your comment would have gotten skipped over. He says, after watching the film, I'm pretty convinced Ron and them overlooked the Chargers and focused on the Giants. If you remember in the presser last week, he mentioned they already started watching them. Yeah, that's not uncommon when you have a Thursday night turnaround, and they had so much time to prepare. I don't think they overlooked the Chargers to get to the Giants. I don't believe that to be the case. I haven't watched the film, so I can't say what they did or didn't do. And you may have access to the film. I don't. So watching the TV copy doesn't constitute watching film for me. I got to see the all 22s. So I don't know if they overlooked them or not. I don't think that's the case. I just think that they didn't execute. Point blank, end of discussion. I think they got out schemed. I think they got out coached. I think they got out executed because there were opportunities for this defense to get off the field. They didn't execute. And then you got to give some credit to the Chargers. They made some tough catches. There were third down conversions where guys were draped on them and they still caught the ball anyway. We had a third down where William Jackson III is holding on Keenan Allen. And so it extends that drive. Like, we had opportunities to get off the field and we didn't. They out executed us on offense and defense. They drew up some blitzes, got the ball out of our quarterback's hands. We didn't protect it up well. Shit happens, man. They were the better team that day. And it's hard to say that because you lose by 4 with all the mistakes we made. We lost by 4 freaking points. But that's what happens in this league. It's a fine line between winning and losing. And we didn't make enough plays. I don't think they're going to, I don't think they overlooked them. I don't agree with that assessment. I just think we didn't play well enough to win. Period. But that's your opinion. I can't tell you what, what to think. And I told you guys to thank Captain Spartan. Don't thank Captain Spartan. He was being selfish. I missed one of his already. So he was probably doing that. Saying, hey, he missed a few already. One of those were mine. Now I'm playing. Captain says, I think the international version of the All 22 is available on Game Pass, if I remember correctly, what the Steelers content maker said. What the hell is an international version? What is that? Like, there's no sound on the All 22 footage. So what's the international version? What does that look like? I wouldn't even know where to look. This new interface is trash. I don't know why they changed it. I don't know why they tinkered with it. It wasn't broken. You would go there and you would have all the options in front of you: condensed game, full game, film. Why did we need to change it? And they may have their reasons for changing it. Maybe they wanted to make it more accessible on mobile devices or something, and it wasn't before. I don't know the reasoning. I just know I'm pissed off because here it is, week 1, and I don't have film to break down right now. And this is a game that needs attention in terms of film study. So I'm pissed. And now we got a quick turnaround. By the time they get the film out, and it sounds like, if you go on their website, it sounds like they're not going to have the film ready for like the first 6-7 weeks of the season. They're like, hey, come check us out in October. So I don't know where the hell this stuff is, man. I'm not happy about it. I can tell you that. Got another super chat. This one is from Fat American. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the Mob Squad. Shout out to all the members of the MOBB in the comment section. Let's see. Fat American writes, bro, I'm tired as F. 14-hour days. Your show lifts me up. I'm so glad that I could be of some kind of assistance to you and some kind of help. 14-hour days, they blow. I've been down that road before. Excuse me. It kicks ass, man. It's really hard on the body, and it's tough. I've been there before, so trust me, I know. Glad to see you though. Also, double up. Thank you for doubling up, Fat American. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, feeling down after the Chargers punked our D-line. It happens. And it won't be the last time this D-line gets punked this season either, just so you know. There'll be some other teams that have a game plan for us. They execute it. We don't execute, and we don't get a ton of pressure. The only reason the D-line's lack of pressure was such an issue is because we couldn't get off the field. If the DBs in the secondary broke up some passes, yeah, we didn't get a ton of pressure, but we wouldn't be harping on the D-line as much. And, you know, everyone telling us our D-line is the best. I'm guilty. I think our D-line is one of the best in football as well. They didn't have a great day. Doesn't mean that they're any less than what they are. They just ran into a team with a really good game plan that executed, and a hell of a quarterback too. Like, don't dismiss what Justin Herbert did in that football game. He is he's a beast. He's a baller. So I got even more respect for him, and I already had a ton of it going into the game, but I have even more respect for him now after watching what he did to our defense. He was fantastic in that football game. Let's see. Want to make sure I didn't miss any more comments. He said I missed 3. That was 2. I don't see any more. All right, we're going to keep moving. Got another super chat anyway, so I'll get to that one, and then we'll go back. For my guy, Derek B. Thank you for the super chat, Derek B. Greatly appreciate you, and thank you for becoming or being a member of the MOBB, who writes, everyone's so fast to diss Cam. 2019 major injury, 2020 off surgery, and signed to the Pats that TB12 knew stunk. Not 2015 Cam, but 2018 Cam impossible at 32. Yeah, have you watched him though? Like, I don't think you've been really watching Cam, man. I don't think you've really been watching him, Derek B. And his motion was never great. He never was a guy that was a great thrower of the football to begin with, even when he was at the peak of his superpowers. But he's not that guy anymore. He's not that guy anymore. Anybody with vision can see that. And I'm not saying you're like one of those RG3 stands people where they just can't let it go and think that Washington destroyed him and he can still play and he should be in Washington right now. But Cam Newton is not Super Cam. He's not Ace Boogie anymore. He's not that guy anymore. And like I've said with him over and over again, usually when you've been at that high of a level in your particular sport, you're usually the last to find out you're not that guy anymore. And that's hard to come to grips with. When you've been a league MVP, you've gone to a Super Bowl, you've strapped a team on your back for nearly a decade, it's hard to understand that you're not that guy anymore. Cam isn't that guy anymore. Can you win football games with Cam Newton? Sure, you can. Absolutely, you can. But is he worth you taking if you have other guys you think can help you win football games? I don't think so. There's a lot that comes with Cam Newton, whether you like it or not. He knows that he's flamboyant. He knows that there are a lot of things that come with Cam Newton that you have to be willing to endure. And I'm not saying that he's a bad dude. I don't think he is. I think he's actually gotten a bad rap, around the league for being selfish. I hear that so often. Oh my God, Cam Newton's so selfish. I don't think he's selfish. I just think he's flamboyant and eccentric. And because of that, people think he's a me guy. No. He likes to wear fancy suits and shoes with no socks, and he likes to wear hats that are colorful and different in designs. He likes to dress nice. In the NBA, he would be beloved, but this isn't the NBA. This is the NFL. He'd be a fashion nova in the NBA, but it's the NFL. So everybody, the NBA is the ultimate me sport. I, me. Got to get mine. So that's okay. But the NFL is the ultimate team sport. And so people think he's selfish. I don't think he's selfish, but there is extra that goes into having Cam Newton. There are things you have to deal with that you wouldn't have to deal with if you had another guy at quarterback other than Cam Newton. There are some things that come with that. Are you willing to deal with that with 32-year-old Cam Newton versus 25-year-old or 27-year-old Cam Newton? I think you're getting the answer from the rest of the league. You have to take those things into consideration. I'm willing to put up with the extra, the questions that I normally don't have to answer on a Wednesday. I'll put up with some of those questions. I'll put up with him, going to Atlanta and having a good time and being around people that have COVID. Now he's out for 5. I'll put up with some of that stuff if he's Superman. He's not Super Cam anymore. So no, I don't want to put up with that stuff. No, I don't want to have a bye week and Cam decide he wants to go to Atlanta or he wants to go to South Beach and be around a whole bunch of knuckleheads. And now all of a sudden he can't play, or he's gotten COVID again. And now he's out for 2 weeks. I don't want to deal with that. So I don't think it's just the diminishing talent, which I do think is one of the main reasons. There's other things that you have to deal with if Cam Newton's your quarterback that I don't think teams are willing to put up with because the talent is no longer there. There was once upon a time teams were willing to put up with Terrell Owens. Why? Because the talent superseded the off-the-field distractions and the locker room distractions and the extra questions you had to answer about Terrell Owens. It overshadowed that. He was too talented. But once he started getting up there in age, he could still play. He could still help you. But you're like, he's still Terrell Owens. I'm not dealing with that shit at 35. Even though I know he's still probably better than, a third, maybe a fourth of the receivers in the league right now. He's still better than them and could produce. But you're still getting 25, 26-year-old Terrell Owens maturity level at 35. I don't want to deal with that. So I'm not going to. And again, I'm not trying to talk about Cam as if he's some kind of distraction in the locker room because he's a bad guy. I just think with Cam comes extra, period. It is what it is. Thank you for the super chat, Derek B. All right. Let's figure out where we are. My guy, Captain Spartan, threw a wrench in my plan. He made me think I was all over the place. think I missed 2 of them. So I think we're here with my guy, John Perez. JP, thank you for the comment, JP, who writes, Giants are not ready for the ass whooping Washington is about to hand them on Thursday night. Entire defense looked pissed off walking off the field after the week 1 loss. Gonna be murder. I'm not willing to go that far. I'm just telling you we're going to win the game. I'm not telling you it's going to be a bloodbath or a massacre or we're going to destroy them. I can't fix my lips to say that we're going to destroy a team that has beaten us 4 straight times. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Every time the Giants have come into FedEx Field or we've gone to New York and they've looked like a wounded duck that was ready to be chopped up and cooked for duck stew, we've gotten our asses handed to us one way or another. So until we actually beat the Giants, I'm going to reserve judgment on talking about we're going to do this or do that to them, other than we are going to win. And I do believe that wholeheartedly. I hope you're right, though, JP. I would like to win that game going away, but I don't think we ultimately will. Let's see. We are right here from Captain Spartan. Not so serious question. Obviously, you believe in Ron's plan, but how would you feel about Arthur Smith as Washington's head coach? His dad owns FedEx and y'all play at FedEx Field. I honestly think this is one of your worst comments, Captain Spartan, because the fact that his dad owns FedEx and they have the trademark to the stadium rights for the next, I think, 6 years till 2027, I believe. That contract is not up until, doesn't make one bit of difference. Like those 2 things don't even have anything to do with one another. Like they're mutually exclusive. His dad owns FedEx. They own the naming rights to the stadium, and his son just happens to be an NFL coach. None of those things correlate. And I look at Arthur Smith, and I saw a guy that was in over his head in week 1 against the Eagles. But that's nor here nor there. Because the name of the stadium is FedEx, his dad owns it, why would we want him to be the coach of Washington? No. To answer your question, to not be an ass, because I feel like I'm being an ass right now, no, I don't want Arthur Smith to be our head coach. Rich, thank you for the comment, who writes, I know it's the season, but any chance I can get the Madden Trap House story and what happened to Flashback Fridays? You only did it once. Yeah, it's hard to do it during the season. You're not going to get Flashback Friday during the season. And you're not going to get the Madden Trap House story during the season. That's not going to happen. That's going to be an off-season thing. And so you're going to have to remind me during the off-season. And the Flashback Friday thing, it's easier to pull off when there's not actual football to talk about. Because a lot of times the conversation has nothing to do with football. So hard to pull that off in season. And you said it at the beginning of your comment. You know it's in season. So you know what it is already. Red Wings 0-1. One thing I want to see from our D-line going forward is including more moves in their respective repertoire. They just speed and bull rush the whole time, and it made them predictable. I've long said that about Chase Young. I don't think he's got a ton of moves. And that's why I was so excited when I saw the latch and snatch versus the Patriots in week 1 of the preseason. I'm like, look, the guy's adding moves to his Rolodex. I got excited, but it's 1 week, so I'm not going to overreact. But yeah, Chase Young wants to run by everybody. He wants to speed the power. He wants to STP everybody. This isn't, you're not at Ohio State anymore. You're not playing against Illinois, okay? You're not about to dominate Indiana's 3rd string tackle. Like, you got to start switching it up. These guys are really good. Yeah, you're a super athlete, and lesser tackles, he's going to win with just pure speed and power. But I haven't seen any, hard outside, back insides, crossovers, as I like to call them. I haven't seen any long arm of the law, which I want to see from Montez Sweat a little bit more. You just pull, they call it the pole vault. I call it the long arm of the law, where you just take one arm and jack a guy up, put him on skates. I haven't seen any spin moves, and maybe everybody's not capable of a spin. So I don't always ask for a spin. If you can do a spin, great. If you can't, if that's not your thing, then don't do it. But everybody can have a crossover. You got speed to the outside, you should have a crossover, and it should be a mean one. I'm not seeing that. Everything is just, speed rush off the outside, Yeah, I'm with you. I need to see more from those guys. I feel like they're not developing into what I want them to develop. And I don't know what they're being coached, man. So I hate to be that guy that, oh, they're being poorly coached. You know, we should get rid of the defensive line coach. You know, that's everybody's go-to. Sam Mills sucks. We should get rid of him. Okay. Well, I just know this. These are two uber athletes. They're going with moves that they think they can win with. I would like to see them diversify their move Rolodex, or as you know, guys like to call it around the league, their toolbox. Okay, well, let's see more tools in your toolbox. All I keep seeing are your two screwdrivers, the flathead and the Phillips. Can we pull out some pliers, maybe? You know, maybe a monkey wrench, something, anything. I'm with you. Alex writes, Nick Sirianni. I got to stop messing this man's name up. I know how to say it. Nick Sirianni. All right. Will be the best head coach in the NFC East in no time. I told y'all that you were sleeping on the birds. LB was talking crazy on the roundtable, but we are better than 4 to 6 wins. We'll see about that. Again, I'm not going to allow people to overreact one way or the other on week 1 action. I think the Eagles fans are just going off the rails with week 1. They couldn't have played a better team, maybe outside of the Detroit Lions. They couldn't have picked a better opponent for the Eagles to get their rocks off on for everyone to be going crazy about. Okay. The Falcons stink. And I think the Eagles showed the rest of the league that. Like I said, come back to me next week. If you destroy the 49ers, I'm going to change my tune and we'll have something to discuss. But if that game goes the way that I think it's going to go, which the 49ers are going to give you some work on offense, destroy that defense, and then they're going to get to Jalen Hurts' ass, it's going to be a different tune. I really believe that. He's going to turn it over at least twice. Once on a fumble, once on an interception. I firmly believe that this week. He's going to turn it over twice. But we'll see. We'll see how good Nick Sirianni is next week when you lose 31 to 17 to the San Francisco 49ers at home. We'll see. Henny Knight says, you missed a ton of comments. I can't see them. I don't. Here's the one I missed. I did miss this one. Cowboys lose huge defensive piece. We talked about that already. I think that comment might have been referencing the one that Captain Spartan brought up. Anyway, and 2 is not a bunch. You guys are so dramatic. You missed a bunch of comments. 2 comments. I didn't see any more. Rich. Thoughts on Jameis and the rumors of Rodgers selling games on purpose? I haven't heard it. I don't pay any attention to any of that stuff. Like, it was a bad performance, man. But again, this is not 1918. What does Rodgers need to throw games for? Convince me of that. The man is literally making $30 some odd million. He needs to throw a game for what exactly? What's the point? Help me understand. In 1975, that made sense. Guys were making peanuts. They had to work jobs in the offseason. So if they decided somebody was going to kick them an extra 20 grand to throw a game, okay, I get that. These guys are making money hand over fist. What the hell is the purpose of throwing a game as a professional athlete in 2021? Who's going to pay you the kind of money that you aren't already getting as a professional athlete? That's why I don't talk about stuff like that, because it's dumb to me. Doesn't make any sense. Let's see. Red Wings. I think it would be wise to move Jamin Davis to outside linebacker, at least for this game. He clearly struggled at middle linebacker, and I want to see how his skills translate to the outside. I think it's an improvement. I can't comment on that. I haven't watched the film. I can't tell you if he struggled or not. Ron doesn't seem too concerned, but again, he's young. Is he ready for inside linebacker work? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but he's young. I knew this was not going to be an overnight type of sensation that we were drafting at, 17 or 19. Like, I knew he wasn't going to come in here day one and floor everyone. Like, he's not Micah Parsons. I made that abundantly clear. Okay. This was a guy that I had a 4th round grade on initially, and then went back and watched the film and said, all right, I might bump him up to a 2nd round pick in my mind, but the attributes is what pushed him into the 1st round, because it's hard to find a 6'4" linebacker with coverage skills that runs a 4.4 40. Like that, they don't grow on trees. So they figured with his skill set, his size, his ability, we can mold him into the kind of linebacker that could dominate this league. And that may not happen until year 2 or year 3 in the league for him. We don't know when the light bulb comes on, but he has some things you can't teach. So just let the kid learn. And if you want him to be a middle linebacker, guess what the best way for him to learn how to be a middle linebacker is to do? Play middle linebacker, not be tossing him over to outside linebacker, weak and strong, and moving him all over the place. Leave him at middle linebacker if you want him to be your middle linebacker of the future. Let's see. Mike Lowry writes, I'm just confused. It looks like coach just told defense, go out there and ball. For example, we knew Keenan Allen was their guy. Why not double cover him or man him up with WJ3 all game? I mean, those are questions that I had after the game. Remember, I said Keenan Allen's their money guy on 3rd downs. After the first 5 3rd down conversions, it wouldn't have taken me that long. But okay, so you want to make sure your eyes aren't deceiving you. After the 5th time this man has had a 3rd down catch to move the sticks, which was probably somewhere in the 2nd quarter at that point, why not just say, all right, enough of this shit. We're going to bracket him inside. And if he's outside, he's getting William Jackson III. If he moves inside to the slot, if he comes out and breaks the huddle and goes to the slot, we're going to bracket him. Linebacker, he comes inside, you take him. He goes outside corner, you take him. We're bracketing him. He won't, like, I just thought they allowed a guy that they knew was going to do the things that he did to do what he did to us. That's what Keenan Allen is. He's a 3rd down chain mover. And they let him move the chains on 3rd down. I didn't understand that. Like, you knew what this guy, and he was killing us. It's not like he had been quiet all day, and then in the biggest portion of the game, he stepped up and made some catches. He had been killing us from the opening possession. And they just, for whatever reason, decided, hey, we got guys. We trust our guys. Oh, okay, well, they trust their guy, and they trust their guy more than we trust our guys, and their guy is killing our guys. When he went outside, William Jackson III was doing some work. And even on that play where they called the penalty, I didn't think William Jackson III needed to do that, because best case scenario, he was going to catch that pass. William Jackson III would have been there to tackle him. He was 3 yards short of the sticks. He didn't need to hold him, but he did. That was the right call. But I, like you, felt like, where's the adjustment? You know, this guy is absolutely destroying us in the slot. Figure out a way to stop this guy from doing what he's doing to us. And they never did, you know, but I'm with you. Fat American. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know how I missed this one. Thank you for the super chat and tripling up. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, our D-line overrated or their O-line just better? It's a combination of both. I do think our D-line is getting a little bit more, love than maybe they deserve. Nobody on our team has a 10-sack season under their belt. Until somebody goes out and bags 12 or 13 or 15 quarterbacks in a season, sacks, it's hard for me to just sit here and listen to all of the people are going out of their way. I think our defensive line is the best in football, collectively as a unit. But you got people talking about how it's not close and how we are the most dominant D line. And I mean, people are, tripping over themselves trying to give us praise and credit. And I'm like, Chase Young is a second-year player. We think he's going to take this monumental leap. We still need to see it. Montez Sweat, I thought, was the most improved defender on our team last year from a defensive standpoint, but he still didn't get 10 sacks last year. Matt Ioannidis, I think, is the best interior defensive pass rusher that we have, but he hasn't had 10 sacks, and he's coming off of a season in which he missed pretty much the entire year. Jonathan Allen, to me, gets a lot of sacks based off of what other guys do around him, not just him whooping the guy in front of him as he likes to say, whooping the guy in front of him's ass. I don't think he does that a ton of times. I think it's him working a twist or a stunt and coming free, or somebody paying attention to Montez Sweat or Chase Young next to him, and then he gets a one-on-one and he beats a guy off the snap with quickness. Sometimes he can win that way, but he gets a lot of cleanup sacks too. The first guy gets there, they miss the sack. Here comes Jonathan Allen to clean it up. He's a try-hard guy, gives you everything he's got. Love Jonathan Allen, not trying to demean him. The bottom line is, and Daron Payne is a hell of a football player, but I think there is not enough that we get out of the talent that he has. I think he could be an even better football player than what we see from him. We see flashes every game, but we don't never get the whole shebang from him. So, is it overrated? I think a little bit, not a ton. Okay. But the Chargers, the offensive line is really good. They played really well, I should say. I don't know if they're really good. They played really well. I got to give them credit there. Derek B says, that's what I'm saying. I think it's more about who Cam is more than it is about football. And that could be true. I'm not disputing that. I just told you that I think it has something to do with some of the stuff that you would have to endure off the field. It's not that dissimilar from someone wanting to sign Tim Tebow once upon a time. Like, Tim Tebow wanted an opportunity. He wasn't very good. That was number one. But, it was more about, look, do we really want to take on the media circus that comes with Tim Tebow at the height of Tebow mania? Do we really want to take on that and give him a chance? Or do we just want to go about it? I'd rather just go about it with a lesser quarterback or a guy that has just the same amount of skill as Tebow, but isn't going to come with Good Morning America showing up and asking me stupid questions. So those are the kind of things you take into consideration as an organization when you start deciding on whether to bring a guy. Ron knows this firsthand. He had Cam for every bit of a decade. He knows, not a decade. That's too long. Cam was a 2011 draft pick, first overall pick, I believe, 2011. So he had him for the better part of 7 years, maybe. So he knows what comes with Cam. And I think he's like, I'm good. Because I had the best of Cam Newton. I was willing to deal with it then. He's not that guy anymore. So I think that's part of it as well. Got a super chat here from Hunter Hodovic. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Hunter Hodovic, who writes, what's up, T? What's up, Hunter? I'm planting the seeds, man. Been waiting for, wanting Ford as our starting quarterback this whole offseason. Can't wait for tomorrow. Hoping to see TLH in full swing. You will. The legend of Heineke is real. And people are going to find that out firsthand tomorrow night. Bart Scott. Can't wait. Take a couple more. How long have we been on this thing? Oh, whoa. We've been up here a lot longer than I thought. We're going to have to get out of here. I'll take one more on the way out. This one from Bigger TV. If we have a mediocre season again this year, what coaching change would you make? I'm going Jack Del Rio. He's suspect to me. Nah, I'm not moving on from Jack Del Rio. He's a proven commodity. I love Jack. I think he is the right man for the job. If we had a mediocre season and we had to change a coach, I don't know if it would be a coordinator as much as it would be a positional coach. It'd probably be somebody that's coaching up one of these positions. I don't, if I had my doubts about Scott Turner and then it progressively got worse, then maybe that'd be the direction I would go in. But I liked Scott Turner last year. I haven't watched the film. I haven't had access to it yet. So can't say what happened in week one, if he schemed it up or, what was the case. But I want guys, this is the problem when fans get involved because they always want to change something. And there's something to be said about continuity. Not having a brand new offense with a brand new language, not having a new defensive coordinator that wants to come in and change things up and change from a 4-3 to a base 3-4, wants to come in and change things from a philosophy standpoint. Oh, we're more of a zone team. Now we're going to play man. Like, let coaches come in and implement their strategy and get guys to buy in over time. Too often, fans want guys gone. They want immediate results. You don't get it, fire this guy, get the next guy in here. Well, now you're switching shit up again. Now guys can't play fast because they're thinking again. I don't want to change anything. This is year 2 of Ron's plan, not year 4. Don't want to change anything. So, anyway, I digress. Let's get to the final segment of the show and garbage time. And what we're going to do on Wednesdays from here on out, the remainder of the season, is we're going to have a little garbage time segment called Thursday Night Look Ahead. So we're going to preview, just like we do on Mondays on this podcast, and preview the Monday night game. We're going to preview the Thursday night game. And so we got our first Thursday night contest of the season. I mean, technically we had one last week. So this is not the first Thursday night football contest, but technically Fox is doing the Thursday night game, which they have the Thursday night package. So in all actuality, this is the first technical Thursday night game with the Fox package, but semantics is what we're talking about here. Thursday night football, Giants at Washington, NFC East family business. This is my family business. And you know, when these two teams go at it, all bets are off, especially when it's family business. So both teams desperately need a win. They're 0-1 coming into this contest, falling to 0-2. Maybe not as desperate in this particular division as maybe some other divisions around football. The Eagles could lose in week 1 or 2, and Dallas could lose to the Chargers, and the winner of this game could be tied for first place. The loser could be one game out of first place. So it may not be, everybody's panicking, oh my God, but when you start taking into consideration the rest of your schedule and what you have coming up, you drop to 0-2. If you're Washington, you got to go to Buffalo. I don't know what the Giants have after this game. Let's take a look. I think that's a part of this conversation as well. So let's see what the Giants have after their contest against Washington on Thursday night, because that plays a part into what you look at. Because if they got the Lions in week 3, then you're like, oh shit, they'll be fine. They'll bounce back. Like, they got the Falcons the next week at home. They'll bounce back. Like, they can afford to lose this game. That makes me think we're going to win even more. They got a cupcake waiting for them the week after. Okay, they got the Falcons. So even if they drop to 0-2, they're fine. They'll win the next week. They don't need this game. They want it. We need this game. We got to go to Buffalo in week 3. Okay, so they'll be fine. They don't need it. We need it. They don't need it. They want it. But in all actuality, in all seriousness, though, when you look at these two teams, they had a similar way of winning games coming into the season. Going to need their defense. Giants defense, very underrated last year. Their defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham, was outstanding last year, got the most out of a defense that lacked any true pass rush. And so everybody viewed the Giants as, hey, going to lean on that defense, give them a chance to run the football. Hopefully their quarterbacks don't make a ton of mistakes. They went out and got all these weapons for Daniel Jones. They should be able to score a little bit more because they weren't great at scoring the football last year, and they should be a better football team because their defense is going to be good. And if the offense can just find a way to get closer towards the middle of the pack, they're going to win some football games. Well, that didn't happen in week 1. Same thing with Washington. That's their essentially their blueprint. Defense continue to play top-notch ball. Offense come closer to the middle of the pack. They should be fine. Well, the defense didn't rise to the occasion. Neither did the Giants defense. They were awful in week 1, just like Washington's defense was. And the offense wasn't that much better for either team. Okay. So these two teams have a salty taste in their mouth right now. When you start with the Giants and you look at what happened to them against the Broncos, untimely turnover. They couldn't get off the field on 3rd downs. And when they did, the Broncos went for it on 4th down, and they were 3 of 3. So they didn't get to Teddy Bridgewater. That was a problem last year. It's a problem right now. They still are having issues getting to the quarterback. And then, to make matters worse, their offensive line, which was a problem in the offseason, still looks like a problem now. Von Miller had a couple of sacks. I think the Broncos ultimately had 3 or 4 sacks on the day. Daniel Jones had a very untimely fumble. It's never a good time to fumble, but they were losing 17-7. They were driving for points. At worst, they were going to come away with the field goal attempt. maybe even a touchdown on that drive. They were moving the football, and he fumbles the ball. The Broncos recover, get a field goal out of it, and ultimately run away with the football game. So they've got to take care of the football. One thing the Giants have been able to do when they played Washington, for whatever reason, I can't explain this. I really don't know why it is. They take care of the ball. Daniel Jones doesn't fumble. He doesn't throw interceptions. When they play us, he is on his best behavior. That is partly our fault. We don't force the issue with Daniel Jones. He somehow manages to not make back-breaking mistakes. Now, in the first game last year, he did throw an interception in the end zone. It really wasn't an interception. And I think that's why the football gods had Kyle Allen fumble the ball at the end, because Kendall Fuller's foot was out of bounds when he caught that pick. But that's nor here nor there. Bottom line is, he doesn't turn it over like he does against everybody else. We don't get the breaks and the benefits of Daniel Jones, doing stupid shit. He comes in, he's pinpoint accurate, he's hitting his receivers, he's scrambling, using his legs to pick up first downs. He's not fumbling when he gets sacked in the pocket. He's not throwing the football and putting it into harm's way. I don't know what it is when he sees us, but he just always seems to play his best brand of ball. That can't be the case tomorrow night, or else we could be in trouble again. As far as the offense is concerned for Washington, they have a week to prepare for Taylor Heinicke. Unlike other teams where Heineke's gotten in, impromptu off the bench, or, Washington had who they were starting at quarterback for the playoff game in limbo. And so wasn't a ton of tape out there. They know who he is now. They've got enough film to study on Heinicke. We'll see how they approach him and how they decide to defend him. But just like with Daniel Jones, it's hard to account for a guy's legs. And that's what Heinicke brings to the table. And I think you're going to see a better, and the Giants, surprisingly enough, because they were stout against the run last season, they gave it up on the ground. And I get it. There was a 70-yard run in there, but I thought there were some good hits by Javonte Williams, the rookie out of North Carolina, and Melvin Good in the third before the 70-yard run. So I think Washington will try to establish the run just like they did against the Chargers. And I don't think they want to put it all on the shoulders of Taylor Heinicke anyway early on in this game. As he gets into a rhythm, maybe they start to throw it a little bit more. But I think they want to come out, establish a run, keep themselves ahead of the sticks. We heard what Peyton Manning said. A lot of people talk about third down offense, but third downs are made by first and second down. And I can't agree with them more. And I talk about that all the time, how you put yourself in a position to convert third downs by what you do on first and second down. We were awful on first and second down against the Chargers. So we found ourselves in a ton of 3rd and 7s and 3rd and 9s and third in situations that you don't want to be in, because if you're not an explosive and dynamic offense, you're going to find it hard to continuously convert those. And that's what we did. We've got to be in better situations, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 4, where you feel like it's very manageable. You don't need a guy to run 15 yards down the field and come back to the football to get a first down. You just need a guy to run 5 yards and turn around and you got a first down. We need to put ourselves in those types of positions. We need to possess the football, and we need to find ways to create shorter fields, whether it be we get a punt and it's down inside the 10-yard line. You got them there now. Force a 3 and out and a punt from their own end zone that's going to net you a short field. We've got to force a turnover that gets you a short field. Even when we forced turnovers in week 1, those turnovers were all the way at our end zone. The Chargers were on their way to get points. And so both of those turnovers didn't create short fields for the offense. One turnover produced 80 yards of real estate that we had to cover to try to get a touchdown. The other one produced 96 yards of real estate in front of us that we needed to conquer to get points. Those aren't short fields. I love the turnovers. Turnovers are great. I don't care where you get them, but I'd like to get some that set this team up in a position to score. This offense needs all the help it can get right now. And I'll take it a step further. We can't afford to turn it over. We had one turnover, and it was a backbreaker last week. I just talked about the turnovers that we generated. Well, the turnover that the Chargers generated against us put them in a position where all they needed to do was get 4 yards to score a touchdown. That's it. That's the difference. Take care of the football, and we've got to find a way to make Daniel Jones uncomfortable. And another thing, Saquon Barkley. We'll talk more about this tomorrow, though. Saquon Barkley didn't look like himself, didn't expect him to last week. He's going to start looking more like himself as he plays more football. Don't let this be the week he looks like himself. We'll let that happen next week against the Falcons. That can't happen against us this week. Got to neutralize him and make Daniel Jones feel like he has to win the game by himself. I always like it that way. I asked us to make the Chargers one-dimensional. Their quarterback threw it 51 times. Well, guess what? He's a damn beast. I got what I asked for, and he carved our asses up. Or I think he threw it 47 times. I think he was 31 or 47. Whatever the case may be, he threw it damn near 50 times and carved our asses up. I want Daniel Jones to throw it 47 times. I dare him to throw it 47 times. If we can't beat the Giants with Daniel Jones chucking it 47 times, we deserve to be 0-2. This is going to be a fascinating game on so many different fronts. The more desperate team will win. I think that team, and I've heard the desperation from Ron Rivera this week. I think the desperation lies with Washington, but I can't say what the Giants feel. I'm not paying attention to their press conferences. They're just as hungry as we are, more likely than not. But in the words of Taylor Heineke, when it comes to the Giants this week, uck them. That's how I feel. 4 in a row, uck them. They want to win, uck them. Let's go get this dub. And that's your Thursday night look ahead here on the Louie T Network podcast. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me. Look forward to chopping it up with you on Friday when we talk about that Thursday night game and take the leftovers from it. Hopefully some juicy, delicious, succulent leftovers from a Washington win. It'll be brutal if that's Thursday night leftovers from another Washington loss to the Giants. I don't know if I can stand another one, but I feel like Washington's going to win. Hopefully they're wearing the white on whites. It feels like a big enough spot for the white on whites. Anytime you play on national TV, you want to look clean. There's nothing cleaner than the white on whites. So hopefully they're doing that this week, but we will see. In any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Stay safe. God bless, and good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.